everybody? Jeff Lightsy Jr. here with the Black Boss channel. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe. Now, the Brooklyn Nets lost their first game as the Big Three, as an original Big Three with Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, and James Harden all on the court together. They lost their first game to the Cleveland Cavaliers. 145 to 147 to 135. Brooklyn's Big Three put up big numbers. Kevin Durant had 38, Kyrie Irving had 37, and James Harden had a 21-point triple doubles. They played a lot of minutes. I think they played 148 total minutes altogether, but they lost. They lost to Cleveland, and Colin Sexton just went crazy. He had 42 points. Cedi Osman chipped in with 25, and they had a few guys in double figures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys in double figures. The Cavs did. And it's not nothing to worry about. The Brooklyn Nets losing their first game together as a Big Three is not something I'm too worried about. I think you got to give this team 5 to 10 games to really gel together. But there is something that I do worry about. One thing is they force-fed Kyrie Irving. You had to know that's a big middle finger to everybody else saying, hey, this is our sign of showing team unity. And they did that by force-feeding Kyrie Irving and to make sure that they implemented him within the game. And so everybody knew, like, hey, there's no problems over here in Brooklyn. Everything, we're all good. Us three, we're going to be able to play together. Whether that is to be true is yet to be determined. But what they're going to have to do to be a good they're going to be a good basketball team. What they're going to have to do to be a successful team when it matters the most. This loss to the Cavaliers doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. What is going to matter? They don't play defense. They gave up 147 points to one of the worst offensive teams in the entire NBA. Colin Sexton is having a good individual year, a good offensive year. He's averaging, I think, about 27 points per game. But the Cavs as a team, statistically, offensively, isn't very good. Just look at the numbers. But that doesn't even matter. Like, that's the thing. That don't matter. The loss don't matter. So, Jeff, what does matter? This is what matters. The force feeding of Kyrie Irving isn't going to happen moving forward. I think when the games matter the most, when the big time games against the Lakers, against the Sixers, against the Celtics, against the better teams in the Eastern Conference, the teams in the Western Conference, the better teams in the Western Conference, the Clippers and so on, Brooklyn's got to figure out how they distribute the shots. And I can guarantee you the force feeding of Kyrie Irving, I think that was just the first game back. We haven't had Kyrie in 7 games. Everybody thinks he's a distraction. Everybody is saying whatever they want to say about Kyrie. This is the way to try to shut him up. He'll go out there and drop 37. That was very predictable to me. I knew that was going to happen. I knew Kyrie was going to get a bunch of shots up. I knew he was going to score a bunch of points because those are his friends, or at least Kevin Durant, we know for sure, is his friend. And then his teammates want to look out for his best interest. And they want to show some form of unity. But what's going to matter is when these games actually really do matter, and James Harden's going to be shooting some more. James Harden can't have less shots than Kyrie Irving. Even though both of those guys thrive on shooting the ball, scoring the ball, that's their specialty, James Harden is better at it. So therefore, he needs to take more shots than Kyrie. What really needs to happen is they need to somehow incorporate Kyrie Irving to some of that bench play. I think Brooklyn had like 5 points off the bench yesterday. They had no points from their bench. And so Kyrie really is going to have to, for real, to best maximize their talent to get one of these guys to run with the second unit. Obviously, it's not going to be Kevin Durant. Really, obviously, it can't be James Harden. So it really needs to be Kyrie Irving. That way he has the ball in his hands. That way he's maximizing his potential. Kyrie maximizes himself by having the ball in his hands and letting him go to work. Him playing off ball, you're not getting the best version of Kyrie Irving. You're just not. He's good. He can play off ball. Like we've seen him do it, but you're not getting the best version of him. The best version of him is when that usage rate is up and he's got the ball in his hands. Pick and roll, whether it's with Kevin Durant or somebody off the bench. And that way you can get that second unit going. Now, you don't necessarily have to bench Kyrie Irving to get him to run with the second unit. He can start. But he needs to play more minutes with that second unit, and you have to cut down the minutes of Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant, coming off an Achilles injury, does not need to be playing 50 minutes against a Cleveland Cavaliers team. It should not happen. I know he's one of the best in the world, but he is still coming off an injury. He's 18 months removed, but he is still coming off a severe injury. Now he doesn't look like it. He's Kevin Durant, but that's something you still need to watch out for. 50 minutes against the Cleveland Cavaliers team, I don't think that should be happening. But Kyrie needs to run more with the second unit. Now, obviously, when the game's close and closing minutes, obviously Kyrie's got to be all three of them got to be out there because that's you get your best shot from one of those three guys. But I think to maximize Kyrie Irving throughout the duration of the season and to get the most points at all points of the game, I think it'd be best if Kyrie ran with the second unit for a large chunk of the game. I think it would be. I think you would get a lot out of Kyrie. I think his numbers would be great, and I think you'd be able to boost that pseudo bench scoring, right? Technically, it wouldn't go to the bench points, but he'd be going against other teams' second units, and he'd be out there cooking them. He cooks everybody. So imagine if a backup point guard's guarding Kyrie Irving. It's going to be a long night on the court for him. That's just my thoughts on how the Nets can maximize all their talent and maximize their players. Harden and Kyrie Irving need the ball isolation to maximize their talent. And to do that, it'd be really good to run Kyrie with that second unit off the bench. And that boosts your pseudo bench points. It wouldn't technically go to the bench points, but that's how you get that's pseudo bench points is what I'm calling it. Those are my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Once again, I'm Jeff Lightsy Jr. with the Black Boss Channel. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and follow me on Instagram at JLightsy7. I post content on there all the time. I will see you guys next time. We didn't have the live show this morning. Had some technical difficulties, but we'll be back right at it with the Victory Formation podcast sports show every morning, 8 a.m. Central, 9 a.m. Eastern. Be sure to tune into that.